All right, folks. Thank you. Today on December 19th, 2023, we're going to be covering end of year reporting. So, my name is James from the hotel team. And today we're going to go through best practices for standard, your advanced insight reporting. I'm going to talk about overall booking revenue, individual event revenue, sales productivity, lead form results, conversions, activities, and tasks. So, all these topics is going to help your salespeople, managers, any stakeholders just make database decisions quickly for the new year based on what's been working, what needs attention. So, we are going to dive right in. All right, we land on the dashboard, of course. Now, today we're going to review some of the standard reports first, and then I'll go over some options and functionality of the other reporting throughout our standard, and then we'll go into the Insights Advanced reporting. So to get to our reports initially over here on the left, we go to Reports, and I'm just going to toggle this over to save ourselves some room. So this reporting section, it's broken up into booking, event sections, and along with accountant contacts, lead reporting, tasks, activities. So you've got all your event reporting up top. Your booking reportings, which we'll be using, it's usually your go-to as a hotel user. And we've got some other reports for accounts and contacts, leads, tasks, and activities. So as I said, as a hotel user, you're mostly going to be working out of the booking level. And just remember, bookings are the box container that holds multiple associated events that share the same account and contact. And those events would be within that date range of the booking, along with the option to have room blocks or room blocks only. So bookings will always have that start date and end date, in other words, arrival, departure. And then the events are those single happenings within that date range. So we're going to look at the booking details report first. So this is a go-to for all hotel users, booking doc users. It's going to give a wide range of information. And we'll review some of the standard functions of reporting as we build a custom report. So you do have preset reports, and I encourage you to go through these. Just click some of this week, next week, customize them further. I'm going to go straight to custom though, and then customize. So this is where you can apply configuration of date ranges. So very basic, you could just see everything that started within a certain date range. Or maybe things that created last month or last quarter or last week. Now you can also cross-reference. So you may want to see what everybody did last year or this last quarter for this upcoming quarter. So let's keep that in mind, that the booking start date can cross-reference with created date. I could see everything that a salesperson created last month that puts towards next quarter, for example. I'm going to look at the year as a whole, though. So I could just go year to date, but I might want to look at this maybe right at the end of the year, and I can set my reports up ahead of time. So based on that date range, everything within that date range will automatically dump into those reports. So I'm just going to go down, hit date range. So my booking start date, anything from January 1st this year to the end of this year. Now, when it comes to status, location, owners, it's going to show me everything unless I single it out. Now, some of the ways I'm going to filter today may not be how you're going to filter. And just keep in mind that this is a test site we use for training. Salespeople use it. Your data should look a little cleaner than ours. We're not closing everything out like you should be, or always hitting all those certain fields. So I'm going to leave the statuses blank for now. I want to see everything, and maybe we'll filter it down. I'm just going to do Blue Water North, and you may or may not have multiple locations, maybe access to both, or multiple or single. And then as far as owners, I'm not going to filter anybody out specifically just now because I know my staff from Hotel North is going to be filtered. Now, custom fields, you can isolate bookings based on locations, custom fields, and values. I won't use this too often, but if you wanted to see just certain types of bookings that you created a field for, maybe they're VIP or tax exempt, you could filter by there. Now, grouping and sorting is very important. So how you group and sort is going to give you clarity and just readability based on how you want to present the report. So I'm going to group by, let's say, month, and I'll keep the sorting by start date. And then when I get over to the columns, so the column tab consists of groups, and within each group, you can select or deselect what's already there. Even though we went custom, it's going to pre-select a few for me. So you can always just clear these out and then go back in and add. So based on what I want to see over the year, if I want to add some room blocks in, keeping in mind agreed and blocked could be different, and what you picked up, and you can always get that total revenue as well. I might want to include all my contact and account information as I'm going down. Then you have some good options for financials, billing categories. So it really depends on what you're looking for. So I might want to see guest room revenue and maybe all of my booking actuals. That'll be my totals, and we'll do grand total. I can also dial down into item categories or billing categories. Now, keep in mind, the more data you have, the longer it will take to populate your reports. So this one I had grouped by month. It just had some basic information. It'll give me those totals by month. Now I could quickly customize this. I want to see by owner, so I can see what my salespeople individually produced. Now, once I find a report that I love, I can save that report, give it a name, and I can mark who has access, either by the user as a whole or individuals. Save that. Now I can always jump back into that report. The data will compile in based on the date range. Let me bounce back to reports. Scroll back down to my booking details. And here's my new report I just made. Now, if I like the way this report's set up, I want to keep that, but maybe do one just for month by month. I could go in, adjust that date range, save that report, give it a new name. And whenever I'm ready to export it, I can put it into a CSV file. Or if I wanted a PDF, just right click, go to your print preview. And sometimes this is a little more readable based on the data on there. So let's look at some reports I saved, because we are talking about end of year. So let's see. Now you can see here, it is a lot of data on this. It's a full year. Anything over 250 rows is not going to show here, but you will see everything as you export it. So this one I have for that full year. I didn't filter anything out. I didn't include any custom fields filtered by. I have it grouped by owner. And then I went through and chose the columns that were most important to me for this. So just at a glance, I can see everything that Keenan did for that year, who they were, quick look at the revenue, and I can quickly compare these to my other salespeople, see who's on top. And I might want to see this, I'm not so much interested in my individual salespeople. I want to see how he did based on market segment. So I can go over to grouping and sorting, go to my market segment. Now I could go in here and apply the same date range, but a year before, have those two reports. I can quickly see how well I did with corporate as I scroll way down. We're going out now, no market segments, so that's where we didn't list any. Now, if one of these I'm really interested in, I can just click right on there. It's going to bounce me right to that booking. So that's sort of the basics of reporting. Any questions on that so far, or anything you'd like me to go back to? So this is a quick example of that cross-referencing. So I wanted to see what everyone did this past quarter for next year. So I put in date created from 10/1 to 12/31, but the start date of the bookings that were created within that date range are for Q1. So that's just a good example of getting mixed data and really figuring out what your salespeople have been doing and what it's going towards. All right, let's go over a booking payments report. So this is another great one where you can, with the presets, just quickly see, I want to know what's overdue. Now, forgive my fake salespeople here for not closing everything out. But for yourself, if this data doesn't look good, that means you need to collect some payments from folks. And you definitely want to make sure if you have any outstanding invoices, you can get in there. So right from hitting overdue, it's going to dump some information on me. Remember, I can change this status. I can filter to certain payments. And I can group by fiscal period, month, and of course I have my columns to select from. Now, once you get a good report, always save it, even if you're going to go in and adjust it, because it may give you some better data than the presets. So for this one here, I have it grouped by month, just to be able to quickly see if I have anything due. And I have my contact information if I need to reach out quickly, or I can go directly to that booking and send them a payment request or a discussion. All right. Any questions on booking payment reports? Okay, now although we're going to work out of the booking level when we're building bookings, then we add those events within, of course. When we're adding room blocks, we're working on that booking level. It's always that all-encompassing booking level, but there are individual event details, financials that we want to be able to report on. So if we go to the event details report, I save this end of year event details report. So we want to know what we're getting for food, beverage, how much you're getting for rental fees, what those totals are based on market segment, and then possibly owners individually. So for this one here, how I built this, I put in the date range. Let's see, I believe I did the past 6 months. We could just go year to date if we wanted to. I think I'm going to keep that date range in there so there's not too much info. So I'll leave that in. I didn't filter anything out, partially because we didn't go in and close everything out. And that could be part of your reporting at the end of the year too. If you've got tentatives kicking around, prospects, they should have either moved through that life cycle to definite, closed. Make sure you're reconciling anything that's owed, any by consumption, And if they're still tentative or prospect, those should be moved to lost at this point and have a good process for lost bookings. Why were they lost? Have good email templates to follow up with them. Set yourself tasks. So if you see a lot of statuses here throughout the year, it's just so I can show you some good data, or bad data, I should say. So for financials custom field, I didn't filter anything out there. I am grouping this one by market segment. And again, the columns, as you go through each group, you just want to select what's important to you. Keep your reports nice and clean. So now I can see over the year how I did for my associations, all of my corporate bookings, my Smurf. If there's one maybe that stands out, I spent a lot of money. What happened with this welcome reception? I want to get some more of those. I can go back, look at my notes, see what happened with these folks, what type of menus they had, how many people, and you can really learn about where your revenue is coming from. So now I want to see how my people did individually. So I'm going to group it by owner. So now I can quickly see who my top salespeople are. You know what? I love that data. But let's group it by source. So now I know how much money I made based on my different lead sources and the few ways to get this information. But this is going to give you just a general idea of how much revenue came in, where it's coming from, how it's getting there. And we're going to go a little deeper about not so much how it's getting there, but how fast it got there, going from lead to close. Any questions on this event details report? All right, I'm just going to go right down the line and show you some more saved reports. So the pick list and billing items report. This is another great way to see what's working, what's not. So for this one, I think I just put in a shorter date range to keep it somewhat clean. I did filter it down to definite and closed. I could get specific with quantities and prices. I could filter out certain menu item categories. I did group this one by category, and then you can see the columns that I selected here. So now I can go down the line and see within a date range, maybe a quarter or the full year, of what my totals were per menu item category. So I might have to scroll down a little farther here, so I can see my totals there, but I can also, especially when exporting, see how many of some of these menu items were sold. So we can see what's lacking, what's working, what's not working, what to continue with. Again, be able to quickly filter this, or group, I should say. By owner. So now I can export this and have a nice file of individuals and how much they sold or didn't sell for certain menu item categories, so they know what to focus on that following year. This is a quick snapshot report just to see some basic information and comparing it to the next year and see if we're up or down. So for this one, I did the full year. I didn't filter anything else out, and I grouped it by month with just a few of the basic columns selected. So now I can see month by month how much definite closed revenue I had compared to the previous year, and see if I'm down or up. And if you did this year over year, so maybe I could run the same report for 2022, for 2021, you might find some trends that, every March we seem to really, come in blasting what's going on in February. Too many vacations, people tired, but at least help you identify where you need to improve and where you're excelling. Now, as far as that sales summary report, you're really going to stick to the bookings level for payments, sales. Now, accounts and contacts, you can always run a full list of those. And as you create your accounts and contacts, or as they submit leads, there is a button to check if they do want to receive any type of promotional things like that. So you can run a report on those. But your most book contacts at the end of the year, that's going to be really important. So this is a quick access to who's giving you all their money and who's booking the most. So you might send out thank you cards. You might already start trying to book them for next year if it seems like something that's annual. Or you can see some accounts that didn't spend much money. We created them, maybe it didn't work out. So this is just good research to see where that revenue is coming from, who you need to focus on, and maybe what type of market needs attention. Oops. Now I can even dial down right into specific rooms and see like, wow, I'm getting a ton of revenue in ballroom A, B, and C. Nobody's ever booking the grand ballroom for you though. So there's a lot of ways that you can dial in and get very specific on these reports. Then we get down to activity and tasks. So who's doing what? Now I have this one grouped by owner or salesperson. I can quickly see how many bookings they created within this date range. I think I just had the month of October for this. Let's go right year to date. I'll keep this grouped by user. And I like the columns, so just update that. So you can see I'm crushing it with creating bookings. That's doing pretty well. So I think I had this filtered just to creating bookings, correct? Yes. So I could uncheck that. That's going to show me everything. Go over to my grouping, and now I just want to see it by action type and update. So now it's going to show me all those different actions, which could clog up the works. And clicking around, playing these reports, you're not going to break anything. All you're going to do is learn different ways to get your data. So I might just want to see contacts created, accounts created, bookings created. And we'll just update it with that. So now I can get some insight on all of my different accounts that were created this year. I can put this all into an Excel file. There's a lot of info there. Now, as far as tasks, those are going to be what you created. The activity is all Tripleseat in-app basic functions. Just give me a moment. Just moving a lot of data around here. So now if I go down to the task report, now I can see the specific tasks that I may assigned or have auto-signed. And again, this is an example of that cross-referencing. So I can put in when it was created, or when they were created, that list, but the ones that are due within this date range, and also date completed. So I could do this looks like it's most of the year, so I'll just leave those date ranges there. And for this particular report, I wanted to see any calls, follow-ups, follow-up calls, follow-up emails, how many tours, tastings, and prospecting do they do. Let's see how many cold calls and cold emails. And I could single this out to a specific user if I want to see exactly what that person was doing. But I'll just leave everyone on there. You can filter it out a little further there. I've got this grouped by assignees. And then the columns, got some basic information to show. So now I can quickly do a year in review of Ella, see all of her calls, all of her follow-ups. You can see Ben Fadden looks like he's slacked. Like, what happened, Ben? You called 5 people this year. No wonder why your sales are down. So again, this is going to give you a little background on all of those numbers that we were just looking at previously. So that's the majority of your standard reports and how they can apply to use a hotel user. I am going to go into our advanced reporting shortly. So I'm just going to take a short break. Take your time to look over any notes. If you have any questions, anything you want me to go back to before moving forward, type those into the Q&A. We'll meet back here in 2 minutes. Grab a beverage, take a stretch, and I'll talk to you shortly. All right, folks, welcome back. So if we don't have any questions on our standard reporting, I am going to go into our advanced reporting. Now to navigate there, if you were on your dashboard, you would start by going to reports and in that top right, advanced reporting button. So your advanced reporting, it's going to take all of your booking, event data, and compile it into snapshots of sales, tasks, projections, up-to-date financials. So this is going to give admins, managers that quick click and go. And again, you want to be able to make your decisions based off of data. So this is a quick way to do it. Now this platform for advanced reporting, it's set up by 4 sections. You've got your dashboards, booking reports, event reports, and sales reports. So all the basic navigation is done on this left-hand side. These can be collapsed and expanded. And a quick hover over each report, it's going to give you a basic description of what that report is for. Now the dashboards, these are customizable. You can create as many as you like. These graphs are customizable too. I can change the size, filter them. So definitely create yourself some dashboards that you'll find useful. And if you ever need help with this, you can always go up to our Help and Questions tab, reach out to our support team, or also go to online learning, check out our FAQs and our YouTube channel, along with these webinars. We'll go over a lot of different reporting aspects, different tips and tricks. So let's go down to our bookings overview. We're going to cover booking reports first. I'm going to collapse some of these, try to keep everything clean. So this is a very basic report. I can select my columns. I can rearrange my columns. I can filter it. So I could say the start of this year to the end of this year. I'll just keep definites there, and I'll do just my blue order north. Now, as you look across the different columns, you can group by these. So if I drag owner up, I can break it down by owner, seeing all the columns of information for each owner. Now, if I want to break it down a little further, I can multi-group, so I can drag that up and see everything in order of start date. Now, if I want to reverse that, the hierarchy of the grouping will be what's ever first. So I could drag the start date over to the left and see everything by date and then further broken out by owner. I can keep on grouping by market segment. All the while being able to collapse these or see the totals for each. And then depending on the column, I can also sort. Any questions on that basic navigation? All right, so annual GRC. This is going to give me some of those same filtering options. I can quickly look at the past year, this year, go by market segment, guest room type. And as I scroll down, I'll see each booking and be able to see on that date of that month. Well, actually, this one is I do? I think I filtered, yep, by the year 2023. It's further broken out by status, definite, tentative, and I can see my daily counts along with my ADR, total rooms, and that'll be grouped by each status. Again, we can export this, or if I filtered it to a certain year, I can bookmark it, give it a name, and now my bookmark reports, I can quickly share these with whoever I need to on my team, or if I need to delete them, I can, right, with the ellipses on the right. Let's look at our booking pace. So this is going to be a comparison report. I've got this filtered as of today's date, comparing to last year. And I filtered just to a few owners, myself, Whitney, Ella, and Caitlin. And I could go further down to market segment, but I want to see them all. And we'll do north and south. So now we can see as of last year compared to this year on this date, where my numbers are and if I'm up or if I'm down. So I can see that last year, Ella wasn't here. Ella wasn't here this year. She was here last year. So all of her numbers as of 11/21 last year are clearly higher. So that's the variance in red. Now I did a little better this year as of last year on this date. So I can see last year of 2022 on the same date, indefinite grand total, I had 23,500. As of this year, I've gone up to 38, so my variance is showing in green. And again, that was based on comparing which year. So I could even go back to 21 just to see how we're looking year over year. Any questions on the booking pace? Let's go down to our booking productivity. I really like this report. Now I already chose some columns. Got my activity date, booking, segment. And I decided to group this by activity and by owner. So all of my new definites from the start of this year to the end of this year created and happening the same year. So for Alex, that's showing all of her new definites, their market segment, start date. So these are the columns that I chose, and then her individual totals. So I can go right down the line by activity, but then also grouped by owners. These are all my new definites. I can collapse that up. Now I can compare their prospect totals to what their definite totals were, but I want to see by individual owner first. So I want to see everything for Aaron, all of his new tentatives. If I look down at Alex, I can see all of her definites, all of the revenue, what they were when they were prospect, and those can be collapsed. So I can scroll over and just see my totals. Again, be able to export this, or I can bookmark it and share it with my team. So our revenue annual. This is just another quick snapshot where I can go in, apply a date range. For this one, I saved my 2022. I can scroll down, see all my different big events or big bookings, I should say. Have that by date. Be able to export this, compare it to 2023. So that's more on an individual level. If I go down to my booking revenue by status year over year, if I go to my filters, same thing, I can do the activity date. So maybe you're already looking forward to next year and you want to see everything in the start of next quarter towards the end of next quarter that your team did for this, that they created this past quarter. So what did they do this past quarter for this next quarter? So I can quickly see how many rooms they blocked, what that revenue is looking like, what the ADR is. So this will really help if, depending on how you do your sales commission, when that commission's delivered, what it's based on, that's when that cross-referencing comes in handy for your sales team. Let's look at our guest room pace. So this is another comparative report to be able to see where you're at based on the previous year on that same date. See who's up, who's down, being able to filter by the status of those. And you can look at it by months or quarters. And also being able to filter by market segment, owner. So this is another quick reference to see how you're doing compared to last year, why you're up, why you're down. Now, lost bookings are important because that's potential revenue that you could have had. So for this one, I selected just a few columns. I've got it grouped by lost reason. So we want to see how much money we brought in, but we also want to see how much money we lost. So I can quickly see my different reasons. And this is when you may see something trending. If the same salesperson is losing to competitors over and over again, maybe you need to have a talk. Maybe they need to adjust their techniques there. But this is a great way to quickly see what could have been and then how to get that business the following year. So those are all the majority of the booking reports. I'll touch on some event reports and sales reports real quick, but please take the time if you have any questions. So the event snapshot, it's going to be just quick information. If you wanted to look ahead of that upcoming month, maybe you want to see everything that's already definite, you can filter out to that. I'll leave those on for now. So now I can quickly see what the bookings are, their start time, who they are. And this can just be a quick way to do some scheduling, to do some ordering. Maybe I want to see where all my events are going to be. So I could group by room name, knowing that certain staff or requirements are needed for that. Or again, I could look back at the year. just to be able to quickly see how much business we had in each room. So again, those future decisions should be based on the data of everything you've done in the past year. Let me get down to some sales reports. This is, again, to be able to track what your team did, where they lacked. For this one, I selected pretty much everything. We could get rid of a few here. So now I can see how many calls my people made. Were they following up? So if I see on one report, and you'll be able to mix a lot of info on reports, but sometimes one report may lead you to another. Well, this person doesn't, their sales doesn't look so hot. They only had X amount of bookings. Well, let's go and see, how many calls did they make? How many tours did they do? And this, of course, is based on people clicking those buttons, adding in those notes, responding to those tasks and messages. And this is a way to make sure that they're doing it, or maybe you see that you are not guiding them enough. I wanted to show you. And another thing with sales, to be able to quickly see where they're at, what their actual was, what their goal was. I can filter this by specific users, keep everybody there. Let's go to let's see the year in review on this. So I can see Tiffany was crushing it, exceeded her goal. I can see Ann Lee's slacking a bit. So just a quick snapshot to see where they are, where they were, and then we can see if they've hit their goals in this quick graph there. Again, being able to group if you want to break those out specifically. Or multi-group. Being able to sort depending. All right, folks. Well, that was the gist and some basic end-of-year reporting using your insights. Again, this was recorded. You'll be able to share this with your team. And if you don't have any other questions right now, enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy your holidays.